So just a couple of days ago, I made a video on the new iMac Pro and when it will be coming out, and the fact that it will need to come out with a couple of other devices in order to make a dedicated spring event worth our time. Well, now just a couple of days later, we're having reports that not only the iPad Air 5, but also the iPhone SE will be seen in a spring event. So we're gonna break it all down. Before we get started, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button and click the bell so you don't miss as we cover your favorite tech and video games. I'm Chris Grant Jr. It's the Granite Geek Show. So this morning, Mark Gurman took to Twitter to retweet a Mac rumors report that iPhone SE and iPad Air model numbers had been revealed in a regulatory database. Now he adds to this by saying, as he said weeks ago, Apple will be revealing a new iPhone and other hardware at a spring event. Now the iPad Air and iPhone SE would be perfect B and C releases respectively, while an iMac Pro would be taking center stage at a spring event. Now if you want the latest updates on this new iMac Pro that's coming, you can check out this video right here, and I'll also put the link to it down in the description below. But for this video, we'll be discussing the iPhone SE and the iPad Air 5. Starting off with the iPhone SE, it's looking to inherit the same old form factor and design as the previous generation, so that's like an iPhone 8 with a 4.7-inch screen, but this time it will be jam-packed with iPhone 12 or 13 internals perhaps. I'm leaning more toward 13, as in 2022, this is the release year of the iPhone 14, and I would imagine Apple would only want their SE models to be one generation behind in terms of the silicon per calendar year. So this is going to mean A15 Bionic and 5G. Now, if you are hoping for a redesign, the only potential clue I could see suggesting this would be 5G. Because the previous generation SE doesn't have the cutouts for 5G antenna. They'd have to move it at least up to the iPhone 12 in order to make that happen. So I wouldn't count on it, but your redesign wishes aren't hopeless. And finally, let's move on to the iPad Air. Now, the previous generation was a beast of a machine, but there are definitely some upgrades we could potentially see for the iPad Air 5, starting with the biggest one, and that's going to be OLED. Now, according to a report from Apple Insider, we could see OLED displays in this new iPad Air as early as this spring, which is insane. Now you might be thinking, why would OLED come in the iPad Air first as opposed to something like the iPad Pro? Well, they're actually having trouble, Apple, with manufacturing this, with Samsung and LG currently fighting and trying to even build the infrastructure to handle large orders of OLED panels, medium and large size OLED panels. So because making OLED panels for iPad on this large of a scale is so brand new, Apple is probably reluctant to try this out on their flagship iPad, being the iPad Pro series. While at the same time it is a premium feature, so they don't want to put it on base model iPads like the iPad mini or the iPad regular. So I think the iPad Air is a perfect sweet spot because they can still charge a bit of a premium, while at the same time they're not gambling with their top of the line iPad being the iPad Pro. And of course, if you want the latest rumors, news, and updates, as well as my personal opinion on the upcoming iPad Pro, which I still don't think we'll see anytime soon, you can check out the link to that video down in the description below. But the iPad Air is set to get the A15 Bionic chip, just like the iPhone SE, maybe some sort of souped up version of it like iPads typically get, but I think it's squaring up to be a beast of a machine, pushing nicely right up against the 11-inch iPad Pro, and they've seemed to have that kind of relationship the past couple of generations, with consumers having a hard time deciding between the two, and I don't think it's going to get any easier in 2022. You see, the iPad Air will have the new OLED screen, which has never been seen before in an iPad, while the M1, well, the 11-inch will have the M1 chip. So you're talking power over LED, and I think it's going to be a great contrast. And I think there's going to be a strong pull for the Air because a lot of people were upset that the 11-inch iPad Pro M1 didn't come with an OLED or mini LED screen allowing for HDR. So they might jump on that, as it has the A15 Bionic chip and OLED versus M1 and no OLED or mini LED. iPad Air 5 could also come with an ultra-wide 12-megapixel camera, enabling center stage, which is a nice feature to have, and of course 5G. So guys, that is the news. Those are the updates. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. I'd love to chat it up with you guys as always. Keep it locked here with the subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss as we cover your favorite tech and video games. Check out my latest videos. It's the Granite Geek Show.